A family came to me 3 years ago. Beautiful people, faithful people. They prayed every morning. They gave to their church. They had a mezuzah on the door. They had done everything right, but their home was spiritually sealed shut, and they could not understand why. The husband had lost 3 jobs in 4 years. The wife had been sick on and off, nothing the doctors could fully explain. The oldest son had stopped speaking to the family, and the youngest child cried every night, not from pain, not from hunger, but from something none of them could name, a dread, a heaviness, like something was sitting in the corners of every room. I walked through their front door, and immediately I knew why. I have been a rabbi for over 50 years. I have walked into thousands of homes, and I am telling you, I knew within 2 minutes, not because I am mystical, not because I am special, but because I have studied these ancient laws for 8 decades, and I have seen this pattern, this exact pattern, destroy families, drain wealth, and block blessing in home after home after home. There are 3 objects, 3 specific categories of objects that, according to the Torah, according to the Talmud, according to the deepest teachings of Kabbalah, create what the ancient sages called a sealed heaven, Hashemayim Ne'olim. When heaven is sealed over a household, no prayer breaks through. No hard work produces fruit that lasts. No medicine fully heals. And no amount of faith seems to move the mountain. And today, I cannot stay silent any longer because I am 83 years old. I have buried friends who never knew this. I have watched beautiful God-fearing families suffer for decades, not because God forgot them, but because there were objects in their homes that had legally, spiritually given the enemy the right to be there. I need you to stay with me for every word of this video, because what I am about to reveal was not taught in your church. It was not in your pastor's seminary textbook, but it is right there, hiding in plain sight in the oldest scriptures on earth, in the teachings of the sages, in the very blueprint of how God designed a home to function as a vessel for blessing. Before I go any further, I need you to type the word bracha in the comments right now. Bracha means blessing in Hebrew. And when you type that word, you are not just participating, you are making a declaration that you are ready to receive what God has been trying to release to your household. Type bracha. And when you press the like button on this video, you are not just clicking a button, you are agreeing with this blessing over your life. You are telling God, I am open, I am willing, and you are telling YouTube to show this to another family tonight that desperately needs to hear it. Press like right now, and subscribe, not because I am asking for subscribers, but because this channel carries ancient wisdom for a modern emergency. And you need to be here for every word. Let me take you back to a time before your country existed. Back to the wilderness between Egypt and Canaan, 40 years of desert, wandering the children of Israel, moving through dust and wind, with nothing but a pillar of cloud by day and fire by night. Moses receives from the mouth of God the most detailed architectural blueprint in human history, not for a palace, not for a fortress, for a home, the Mishkan, the tabernacle. And in those instructions, God does something that the modern world has completely overlooked. He specifies not just the structure, but the objects, what can be brought in, what must be kept out, what materials carry blessing, and what objects, even beautiful objects, even expensive objects, create spiritual obstruction. The great Rabbi Nachmanides, the Ramban, one of the most brilliant Torah minds who ever lived, wrote something that stopped me cold when I first read it as a young student. He said this: "The Mishkan was not built to contain God, for the heavens cannot contain God. The Mishkan was built to demonstrate that the Shekinah, the divine presence, will only rest in a space that has been prepared to receive it." I read that line, and I sat down on the floor of the library and I wept, because I understood in that moment the Shekinah does not force itself into a space. It responds to invitation. It responds to preparation, and it can be blocked, not by God's choice, by ours, by what we allow through the door. This is not poetry. This is law. This is as real as the law of gravity. And for 3,000 years, the rabbis have known which specific categories of objects shut the door on divine presence and therefore on divine provision. Let me tell you about the first object. And I want you to listen carefully, because this one is in almost every American home I have ever entered, including the homes of people who love God deeply and sincerely. In the Torah portion of Vayikra, in the laws of Tumah and Tahara, spiritual impurity and purity, God draws a direct connection between what is allowed to accumulate in a physical space and what spiritual forces are able to dwell there. The ancient sages taught that chaos and disorder were not merely aesthetic problems. They were spiritual ones. The Hebrew word for void, tohu, is the same word used in Bereshit in Genesis to describe the state of the earth before God's creative order descended upon it. Tohu vavohu, formless and empty. And what God did in creation was not just creation, it was ordering. It was separating. It was establishing sacred boundaries between things. Now here is what nobody told you. Objects that represent unfinished things, unpaid debts displayed in your home, legal notices taped to your refrigerator, stacks of bills spread across the kitchen table, visible reminders of money owed and promises broken. These objects do something spiritually that the ancient rabbis understood, and that modern psychology is only beginning to name. They speak, not with a mouth, but with presence. Every time you walk past that stack of bills, your spirit hears a language of lack. Your subconscious registers, we are behind. We are insufficient. We are losing. And here is the deep Torah truth. A home that speaks the language of poverty becomes a home that stays poor. The Baal Shem Tov, the founder of Chassidic Judaism, one of the most illuminated souls in the last 500 years, once said, "The world is not what you see. The world is what you say." And he was drawing from the deepest teaching of Kabbalah that words and the objects that represent words shape the spiritual reality of a space. When you surround yourself with the physical language of lack, you are making a declaration, and heaven responds to declarations. This is the first category of object, the physical language of poverty. The debt notices, the overdue bills left in plain sight, the bank statements showing negative balances pinned to walls or left scattered on counters. I am not telling you to pretend you have no debt. I am telling you that there is a difference between managing your debt and displaying it. Clear those objects, not because you are in denial, but because you are choosing a different declaration. You are saying the situation is temporary. My God is the God of Yosef, who went from a pit to the palace. My God is the God of Elijah, who multiplied oil and flour in the middle of a famine. I refuse to let poverty set up residence in the language of my home. Take out a piece of paper right now and write these words: my home speaks the language of blessing. Write it and put it somewhere. You will see it every day. This is not positive thinking. This is ancient Torah practice. This is aligning your physical environment with your covenant declaration. Now the second object. And this one is going to surprise you, because it doesn't look dangerous. It looks like love. In almost every home I have visited where blessing has been consistently blocked, where there is chronic illness, chronic financial drought, chronic relational collapse, I find them. Objects of unforgiveness. Now let me explain what I mean, because I am not talking about photographs on a wall or a grandmother's quilt. I am talking about something much more specific. The Talmud in Tractate Yoma teaches about the Yom Kippur service, the Day of Atonement, and it records something astonishing. The high priest could only enter the Holy of Holies, the most sacred space on earth, after a very specific process of separation and cleansing. Not just physical, spiritual. He had to release, he had to let go of every grievance, every unresolved wound before he could enter the place where God's glory rested. The rabbis asked, why? If God is omnipotent, why does he require the priest to be free of bitterness before drawing near? And the answer they gave is one of the most profound teachings in all of Jewish tradition, because bitterness is a form of idol worship. When you hold on to an unforgivable wrong, when you replay it, rehearse it, keep it alive, you are giving it power over your life that belongs only to God. Now translate that into the physical world. When you keep objects that anchor you to a wound, letters from a person who betrayed you, gifts from someone who abused you, photographs you look at with resentment rather than love, keepsakes from a relationship that ended in betrayal, those objects become what Kabbalah calls a klipa, a shell, a husk, an empty outer form that traps spiritual energy and prevents it from flowing freely. You may not realize you are holding on to bitterness. You may think it is just an old box in the closet. I never even open it. But here is what I have learned in 50 years of counseling families. Your spirit knows it is there, and it devotes energy, spiritual, emotional, even physical energy, to maintaining that wound. Energy that could be flowing toward your healing, your provision, your breakthrough. I am not telling you to erase your history. I am telling you to perform a sacred act of release. The ancient sages called this practice teshuvah, not just repentance, but return to wholeness, return to the place before the wound, and part of that return is releasing the physical anchor. I counseled a woman, a God-fearing woman, a faithful woman, who had been divorced 12 years before she came to me. She had remarried. She had a new life, but she had kept a box of items from the first marriage hidden in the back of her closet. She told me, I don't know why I keep it. I don't even want to look at it. I just can't throw it out. She had been in chronic illness for 9 years. Her new marriage was struggling. Her finances were in chaos. I said to her that box is costing you everything. It is a portal. Not a portal of darkness, do not be afraid. It is a portal of the past, and as long as the past has a physical anchor in your home, your present cannot be fully inhabited. She went home. She prayed over that box. She released it. She burned some things, donated, others discarded the rest, with intention and prayer. Within 3 months, her health began to improve. Her marriage strengthened, and a financial door opened that she had been waiting on for years. This is not coincidence. This is Torah law. The God of Israel is a God of forward movement. He told Israel in the wilderness, "I will do a new thing." Do you not perceive it? But you cannot perceive the new thing when you are physically, spiritually, emotionally anchored to the old thing. Before I show you the third object, I need to pause. I need you to do something right now that is more important than just watching this video. I need you to type the word shalom in the comments below. Not as a tradition, not as a formality. Shalom means completeness, wholeness, peace in every dimension, spirit, soul, body, family, finances. When you type shalom right now, you are making a covenant declaration that you are releasing the old and receiving the new. You are saying to God, "I am ready for the complete life you have prepared for me." Type it now. Shalom. And as you do, I am speaking a blessing over your hands as they type that word. Now, the third object. This is the one that destroyed the family I told you about at the beginning of this video. This is the one I walked through their front door and saw within 2 minutes. And I will tell you, my friend, this is the one that is in more Christian and Jewish homes in America today than any other. And almost no one is talking about it. Because it does not look like an object of darkness. It looks like art. It looks like culture. It looks like decoration. In the Torah, in the book of Devarim, Deuteronomy, God gives a command that the rabbis have debated and discussed for thousands of years. He says, "You shall not bring an abomination into your house, lest you become accursed like it." The Hebrew word used is shiketz. It implies not just something morally wrong, but something that carries a spiritual residue, something that has been consecrated, even unknowingly, to a force or an intention contrary to the blessing of heaven. Now, I am not talking about having a television. I am not here to preach about entertainment. I am talking about something far more specific and far more ancient in Kabbalah, in the mystical tradition that Moses received at Sinai and passed through the generations. There is a teaching about objects that carry the spiritual imprint of their origin. The Zohar, the foundational text of Jewish mysticism, teaches that certain objects, especially decorative objects, figurines and symbols, carry within them the energy of the intention behind their creation or the spiritual system they represent. This is why the Israelites were warned not to bring the gods of Canaan into their tents, not because God was jealous of carved wood, but because those objects were spiritually entangled with a system of spiritual law that was incompatible with a system of blessing God was trying to establish. Two systems cannot occupy the same space. Two frequencies cannot both be tuned in at the same time. Today in American homes, I find objects that were purchased innocently at a gift shop, at a craft market, in a foreign country, that carry spiritual residue from systems entirely foreign to the God of Israel. Certain animal figurines that were sacred in pagan worship, certain symbols that look beautiful but carry ancient spiritual associations that war against covenant blessing, certain decorations that were created within spiritual traditions that practice divination or invoke spirit forces outside of God. I am not asking you to live in fear. God has not given us a spirit of fear. I am asking you to be a steward, to be conscious, to ask the question, do I know where this came from? Do I know what it was made to represent? Because the ancient Rabbi Akiva, one of the greatest souls in the history of our people, taught that the greatest form of love for God is expressed in the details. He said, love the Lord your God with all your heart. And the word all in Hebrew is kol, with the totality of who you are and everything you possess, including what you allow into the space where you live. The great Maimonides, the Rambam, wrote in his Mishneh Torah, a person's home is an extension of their inner world. What you permit within its walls declares your covenant. I read that for the first time as a young man, and I have never forgotten it. What you permit within your walls declares your covenant. Walk through your home with fresh eyes after this video. Ask about every decorative object of unknown origin. Do I know what this is? Do I know where it came from? Does it align with the covenant of blessing I am seeking to establish in this house? And for the objects you cannot answer with certainty, release them, donate them, discard them with intention and prayer. Now, let me bring this together with a 3-step practice that the ancient sages gave for the purification and reconsecration of a home. This is not something I invented. This has been practiced in Jewish homes for 3,000 years. On the first day, you walk through every room of your home with intention. You are not cleaning, you are consecrating. You are asking God to show you what does not belong. You are looking at every object through the eyes of covenant. Take note. Make decisions. This day is about awareness and decision. On the second day, you act. You remove what God showed you. You release the physical language of poverty. You release the physical anchors of unforgiveness. You release any object of unknown spiritual origin. Do not be afraid. You are not performing magic. You are exercising your covenant authority as a child of the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. As you remove each object, say this out loud. I release this from my home. I release its spiritual hold. I declare this space consecrated to the God of blessing alone. On the third day, you fill. This is the most important step and the one most people miss. When you remove something from a spiritual space and do not fill it with something holy, the Torah warns that what was removed can return sevenfold stronger. So on the third day, you speak blessing. Over every room, you speak the words of Psalm 128. In your home, blessed is everyone who fears the Lord, who walks in his ways. You shall eat the fruit of the labor of your hands. You shall be blessed, and it shall be well with you. You speak Psalm 91 over every door. You write the name of God not in vain, but in declaration, in a place of your choosing. You fill your home with the language of blessing. 3 days, 3 actions, 1 for awareness, 1 for release, 1 for consecration. This is the pattern of transformation the ancient sages gave us, and I have watched it work over and over in family after family, in decade after decade of my life. Now, I want to speak directly to someone watching this right now. I do not know your name. I do not know your city. But God knows where you are sitting at this moment, and He sent this video to find you tonight, not the other way around. This video found you. Someone watching this right now has been carrying a heaviness in their home that they cannot explain. You have prayed. You have believed. You have done everything you knew to do. But there has been a ceiling, a wall, a place where the blessing seems to stop before it reaches you. And you have started to wonder quietly in the dark hours if God has forgotten you, if maybe you did something to disqualify yourself from the blessing. I want to look you in the eye through this screen and tell you, you have not been forgotten. The God of Israel does not forget. He is not punishing you. He is waiting for you to use the authority He gave you. He is waiting for you to apply the ancient wisdom He preserved through thousands of years of darkness and exile, precisely for this moment, precisely for your moment. Someone watching this is about to step into a financial breakthrough so significant that you will look back at this season the way Joseph looked back at the pit, not with bitterness, but with the understanding that even the pit was part of the path to the palace. Someone watching this has a prodigal, a child, a husband, a wife who has gone far away. I want you to hear this. God is working in that far country right now. And when you clear your home of what I have shown you today, you are creating a spiritual landing strip. You are saying this home is ready to receive the returned one. The door is open in the spirit before they ever knock on it in the flesh. And someone watching this has been sick, fighting something in their body that the doctors have addressed but not defeated. There is a healing that is already prepared for you in the heavens, but it needs a clean vessel to land in. When you consecrate your home, you are consecrating your body. You are declaring, I am a temple of the living God, and I will govern what dwells in me and around me. I have seen this. I have seen this with my own eyes in my own lifetime, in family after family. This is not religion. This is relationship. This is covenant law, and it works. I want to close by speaking a blessing over you. A real blessing, the ancient priestly blessing that God Himself dictated to Moses in the book of Numbers, that has been spoken over God's people for 3,000 years without interruption. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May He make His face shine upon you and be gracious to you. May He lift up His countenance upon you and give you shalom, complete peace, complete wholeness in your spirit, your soul, your body, your marriage, your children, your finances, and the walls of your home. May the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob open the gates of heaven over your household tonight. May the Shekinah, the divine presence, find in your home a prepared and welcoming space. May every object of poverty, every anchor of bitterness, every residue of a foreign spiritual system be removed from your walls and replaced with the beauty and blessing of your covenant God. May your home become what God designed it to be from the beginning, not just a building, not just a structure, but a mishkan, a dwelling place for the divine, a space where miracles are a daily occurrence, where children grow up saturated in the presence of God, where every guest who crosses your threshold leaves carrying a piece of the blessing that rests there. I speak this over you. I declare it. And I have the authority to declare it not because I am special, but because I stand in a line of rabbis stretching back to Sinai, who have carried this flame and passed it from hand to hand, generation to generation, through fire and darkness and exile, until this moment, when it reaches you. Now I am asking you to do 3 things before you close this video. First, if this word found you tonight, if you felt something shift in your spirit while you watched, press the like button. Not for me. Do it as an act of agreement with the blessing spoken over your life in this video. Second, subscribe to this channel. I am not done. There is more ancient wisdom that God is pressing me to release, and you need to be here for every word. Click subscribe and turn on notifications. Third, share this video right now. Think of one family, just one, who is living under a sealed heaven. A family struggling, suffering, praying, but not breaking through. Send this to them tonight. You do not know what act of obedience God is waiting for from you. This may be it. Write in the comments right now, "My home is consecrated." Write it as your declaration. Write it as your covenant. And as you write it, I am agreeing with you from where I sit. My friend, you have been faithful in the waiting. Your season of breakthrough is not coming. It is already here. You just need to prepare the vessel to receive it. Shalom.